Hi, I'm Jordan Belisai, and I've been LARPing at Kingdoms of Novitas since 2005, so that's 19 years now.
James Vertucci. I've been at Novitas since 2006, so 18 years. Yeah.
And I'm Richard Baldwin. Been LARPing since 2008.
Oh yeah. Communication. I'm such a better communicator in a professional manner because I got put on staff when I was probably too impetuous. Is maybe the word. a little too angry. But I think the Dave, who used to run the game, saw something in me that I didn't, and it taught me a lot. It taught me to be calmer, communicate better, and to just like how to deal with a problem when it comes to you immediately. So for context, I was ops, so I dealt with all
Operations.
the operations, all the broken stuff. I dealt with like any problems that arose at game immediately, and it really taught me how to like deal with stuff in a calm, immediate manner rather than just like being an angry 20-something-year-old who is just ready to yell at stuff all the time.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that keeps allowing me to be better in the real world or sharpen my skills is just being exposed to so many different cultures and ways of life and different ways of approaching things.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up in the middle of nowhere in an old farmhouse in a Christian household where my grandfather was a pastor, his father was a pastor, and having this opportunity in a healthy way to be exposed to so many different things allows me to interact with people in my day job in different communities and understand or have a better understanding of where they're coming from, maybe something that they've experienced, and I can connect that to somebody that I've met over the past almost 20 years now, and it's just been so valuable.
For sure. There's a lot of skills. Like you could get into like woodworking, right? Just as like physical crafts or different things, just as not all of it ends up at game, but like some of the soft skills that you guys are like talking about, like I definitely have like public speaking jitters, right? And then I was like public speaking, at work for, like 50, 60 people. And then I just, instead of being like afraid, I would like say, oh, I'm just going to play a non-player character called Richard Baldwin, who is good at public speaking.
And you put on your guard.
And then once I was up there, another soft skill is like improv. Because like one like improv is this like really like powerful skill that a lot of people might not like believe is like a big deal, but it's a big deal. Like if you can think on your feet, and the other part is listening, like really actively listening, like that is big for like just in the world generally. Listen to where people are at, and then go there and like bring the improv out. So
that's a good one. I didn't think of improv as definitely something that also I've cultivated.
Yeah.
I think one other thing, as a 15-year-old, it taught me responsibility. I know I gave that story in the beginning about an encounter, but understanding that I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I have to show up there on time, I have to prepare for that, and I have to interact in a certain way to have the best outcome. And I think those like really basic things that you should learn as you're going from like grade school into the real world, it gave me an opportunity to learn that and not really affect anything else that would negatively impact me in the real world.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing that I learned from participating in Novitas, and I wish I learned this earlier on, is the power of layers. Like how well they look. Like
how funny is that? It's true.
Richard is the best layer person. Like I wish I had Richard
100%
before I
agree.
started.
Yeah.
Like this goes with this, and then you have your little Heidi snacks, and you have your pouches, and you have that.
You
stuff.
gotta have snacks in case you
What
have
a good
one.
skill, though.
Yeah.
Honestly.
gotta-
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
he is the master of it.
Yeah, like I love patina. You know, I love like, you know, a torn little like tunic that's been repaired. You know, like these little
Makes it
things
real.
that, yeah, like it really looks lived in, you know, and instead of like this is a costume, right? Where it's like one thing that you put on, one pair of pants, one, you know, like shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about like this person woke up this morning and was cold, so they put something on, you know, and they might be cold tonight, so they have something, you know, what would they do to like get through this crazy world, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, you know, you think like, oh, you know, I gotta fill my pockets, I gotta, you know, fill my purse with whatever I need, you know, for the day, you know, you just do that, but for this, you know, fantasy character. And so layers just kind of like come out of that, because you need layers to put your snacks.
And it looks great.
Yeah,
Like,
It looks great.
The best looking people have multiple layers.
For sure.
Yeah.
But thank you for the compliment.
That's why I'm the worst
Yeah.
looking person. You wear one tunic.
Yeah.
Wait, don't you have the coat with the sun?
No, my winter stuff is layers.
Yeah.
My winter
Yeah,
stuff's always
same.
layers, but like my normal garb is I transfer between two tunics, but here's what it is. You know?
We gotta go into the Richard
Yeah, well,
closet.
it's great. Yeah, I mean, there's neat. You know, you could wear a sweater, or you could like wrap a scarf around your neck and put it in a specific
I
way.
guess that I do
And it
wear my
is,
scarf
like-
a lot. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will trap heat as good as a sweater. Like, you know,
Yeah.
we've been able to test this, and it's great. And having lots of light layers is like a little better than having like one big heavy layer. You know, just going lighter in general is, you know, a great way to be. But-
yeah.
And if you're cold, just put something else on top. You know, until you're like your arms are out, and, you
It's
know,
a little bit of
like a
marshmallow.
little kid. Well, part of my inspiration, I guess, it's part of my like coming to game, you know, coming to Novitas kind of setup. I have like a Spotify playlist of like specific music, and for many years when I would come to game, I had that car where I had lost Mumford and Sons in the CD player, and it wouldn't come out, but it would play.
So that was every time.
So that was my soundtrack for like I don't know, 6-7 years of
That's
coming
funny.
to game, and I would only play it like I'd just do radio the rest of the time, and so but then I'd play like Mumford and Sons, and I'd say, yeah, go into game, let's go, you know, and so like then I got a different car and had to say goodbye to that CD as it went away, and it took several years, and then like now it's on the playlist because it brings me there in addition to like, you know, on the drive-in, you know, there's I'm like, not everyone is really musically like immersed, you know, but it just kind of is cheat codes to like get my brain in the right you know, area, and that inspires me to like have a great time when I'm there.
I think in addition to that Sunday after that you guys talked about in the beginning about how that gets you so excited and got you to keep coming back and knew that you were going to be here forever, is that in between meetings. I remember when we were in a group together.
Oh
and
yeah.
we would have like midpoint hot tub meetings at Steve
Yep,
and Heather's
Steve and
house.
Heather's house.
And
Yeah.
we would plan, we're like, okay, this is how we're going to help the El Carn. Hashtag Karen Hold Legion.
Hashtag we're bad guys.
Yeah. And how, like, what our goals were, how we were advancing them, and then checking in with each other, making sure that we all had something going on, and it wasn't one person being the star of the party. I mean, I think that's what makes groups work really well.
Oh yes, and that's like my current group now, the Harbingers. We have a lot of newer players in that group, but we slacked off for a little bit with meetings, but we're kind of back to it. We just had one. We all talked about what we're loring. How are we going to help fix poor Lucky?
I took notes on all these, but
yeah. Got a spy in the midst. Yeah, I love that. Like that, just getting with your group. And nowadays, it's a little harder because in the before times, a lot of the people who came to Novitas, you like lived in pods, which means like the group I was in with Jordan in the beginning, we were all like from the Utica area. Like everybody lived around there, and then like other groups were like from like localized. They were like a big group of friends that all stayed together. Were from Oswego and so on and so forth. And nowadays, like people in our group, like Kat and I live in Rome, Brandon and Gabby, and they live down in Binghamton area, and you know we got people in Syracuse, and so now we have everybody scattered all over the state, which is just cool in itself. So it's a little harder to do those things, but when we do it, it makes it feel, I don't know, like it's that old LARP feeling that I get, that warm and fuzzy. Oh, this is why we do this. These are our friends. We're getting together.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fun. And even when we all hang out outside of LARP, guess what we end up talking about?
Yeah.
LARP for 35 hours.
I always feel bad for the one person at the party.
It's usually your brother.
Yeah, who's at the gathering, and then as soon as, like, sometimes we try and wait, we're like, okay, how long can we wait before we mention LARP?
10 minutes.
Yeah, and then as soon as it goes, it's, yeah.
I got tears.
Yeah. Yeah, I find Discord really great for that. You know,
It is.
like having people like talk on a topic, you know, and you know, whatever your interests there are, you know, if you have questions, if you got, you know, like what do you guys think of this look, you know, or this thing I made, or like what do you think of this plot direction, you know, like all sorts of things. So, and hooligans, I see you.
And I guess to answer the actual question, LARP inspires me outside of LARP, if that makes sense. It inspires me to do a lot in life. Like, a lot. It inspires me to be more creative, which is something I have a hard time with. I have a lot of self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's, you know, we're human.
Yep.
But, like, then I can think, what would Janos do in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
My character who is just so, let's fix this now, let's do the thing, like that's not who I am in real life, and sometimes I have to channel that character kind of in real life to like be a better person, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so Mike is a merchant. Well, he used to be a merchant, still is a merchant. But like not coming from a ton of money, but being a merchant who had like 8,000 coin, I was like, wow, this is what wealthy people do. So I got like a taste of it, got to learn how like commerce works a little bit, and then also like managing people, like organizing in groups, accomplishing things, and those are real life skills that you need, and you're able to test out, and
Yeah.
Well, for me, like goal setting is, like you can get into this trap where, you know, if you want to improve, you look outward and you look at other people, right? And you say like, I want to be like them, but better, you know, or whatever, right? And while other people can inspire you, the way I kind of take it is my greatest competition is like myself. You know, like who I was yesterday or last month, and how can I improve? You know, how can I be that guy? And you know, that's applicable in game. You know, like, oh, I want to change my garb a little bit, or this time I want to try and like find someone new to like, you know, talk like in character with, you know, that kind of stuff. And then like out of game, just like, you know, okay, we're in this, you know, like stagnant phase. What can I do to shake things up? You know, can I learn something new, a new skill, or you know, like improve on a skill I already have? Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. and like both I think it's been like fruitful and healthy, you know, for like moving forward. So.
No, not for me.
It's changed it a lot for me.
Has it? That's cool.
It after being, I forget which came first, but like being like a game master in like a tabletop.
Yeah.
And in Novitas, like in both, like it's one like kind of feeds into the other, I guess.
Okay.
But going from like tabletop game master where everything was planned, everything written out, you know, just everything, and then, you know, going to LARP, being a game master and saying like, you're all orcs, you got a drum, get out there, make it go, you know, like it's trust, like, you know, the first, you know, you don't even trust yourself because you're like over preparing, right? But then you come to game and you it won't be perfect, and it will be amazing because it's not perfect, you know?
It's okay.
And it's okay. It's totally great that it's not perfect. You can like go out and that, you know, if you rely more on the improv, you can like go places you could never plan. You know, you could never, if you're sticking, you know, like straight to whatever you writ down and wanted to like follow that path. So I guess I learned to chill and trust.
Yeah.
And try new things. Like I remember Dave would always say, just say yes. And like if an NPC comes up, asks you to do something, say yes. If someone wants to like buy something, say yes and figure it out. Even if it's not like the best deal, it's gonna lead to something.
Yeah.
Like I just bought this vase last game, and it was the spittoon of crack.
Nice.
And then I got to do this awesome plot that was that used that. And it was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I don't play any D&D or video games outside of LARP. I do board games and I love card games.
That applies for sure. Card games you can like play in character too. Yeah.
I mean, you're sneaky. I've watched you play some pitch.
Yeah. I will go forward with the berries. Let's go.
Yep. I don't know if it's Novitas has changed the way I play those games, only because I kind of like compartmentalize in my head, so I like do things separately. It's just kind of how my brain works. So like I've always kind of improvised. That's kind of like just the weirdo I was when I was a kid, and it just like translated very well into my adulthood. So I don't know if like I play an RPG differently because of Novitas. I actually might play Novitas differently because of RPGs.
Sure.
Because video games were my first love. Someone who lives with me would be able to tell you that. I love video games, so it's kind of vice versa for me. Like, video games kind of inspire me to create different stories and paths and things at LARP. So it's kind of flip-flopped, I guess, for me in that aspect.
2, yes.
That's the easy answer.
That's the easy answer.
When both are still active, and the trick with like going from one character to the next is that you have all these like ways of being or like ways of thinking. And remember me before about I don't like reading the same book twice. I needed to make big changes to differentiate the second character from the first, and so the first character was like you love being like in the end, you love being like the center of attention, very like you like being in the middle of everything, and very community, very like public and loud and all that stuff. And then the second character, I gave him a thing where if he was like claustrophobic in like the inn. So if he would start to get like itchy or like have like a restless leg syndrome kind of thing, if you stayed in the inn longer than like 5 minutes. And it meant that I was in and out, and always like out in like the woods and stuff. Other things, the first character was like if you think about themes, like his theme was like visually was like leather, and then the theme of the second guy was like fabric. Like he doesn't do leather because it's like too heavy or something. And so like thinking in themes of like community was kind of like the first guy's thing, and then the current one it's people's sparks and like slowing things down and really like focusing on like small things that really make the character like come alive. So those are my two.
Do you want me to go next since you're the most?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
3. I've had 3 characters. My first character was the typical, like the stereotypical kind of LARP. It's you in funny clothes.
The first character, yeah.
Yeah, the first character. But I played like a very ultra good guy. It was like you helped people and you always did the right thing, period. So I like was poorer than dirt. Never had any money. Didn't have enough money to eat in the inn. We were just like, our group was
10 coin was a lot.
Yeah, 10 coin was
like
a lot.
Like if we had 10 coin.
Like, oh, we can eat this weekend. Yeah, he was like super good guy, always helped. And then it just like it wasn't what I wanted. And then Jordan's like, "Hey, we're gonna do this new thing. You want in?" And I was like, "Oh, this sounds great. This sounds great." So then my second character was 100% the exact opposite. Evil as evil can be. He was a cannibal. Yeah, little known fact. He was a cannibal.
You just need a little snack on the road.
A little snack on the road. He was a bad guy. It was hard to like break the fact that like I'm in real life a nice person. So that was like a hump I had to get over as Azrael. That was my second character's name. But once I got over that hump, it was really exciting and fun to play an evil character. Because it was something our game never had seen before that moment. Our whole group was just bad people. And that's why I'll leave that off for now, because somebody else has some fun stuff about that. And then the character I play now, Janos, is I like because he has more depth than I think other people realize. There's more to Janos than like just Jimmy, and it's really fun to see how people interact with me because they don't actually know who Janos is. And I really love that. Everyone thinks he's like a chosen, he's a good guy, he's a beacon, and that's really not the case. He's very gray in a very intentional way, because our world is in Novitas. We do have like very distinct, these things are good, these things are bad, but there's also a lot of like, but what if in our world. And I want Janos to always sit in the but what if of the world, where it's not quite, you don't really know what's going on with him. And that's kind of where I like him to sit. It's one of my, I used to hate this character for reasons. We got kind of forced to retire our bad characters for a good reason. Like, honestly, for a good reason, for the betterment of the game. But, so it took me almost 4 years of playing my character to like my character.
Oof.
Which will teach you, though, what you like and don't like. Like, it will. And it took some time to get into him, but like now I know, like, it's the most fun character I've ever played. And that's saying a lot. Like, there's just a depth to him that I really enjoy. It's a fun character, and yeah, that's. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give stuff away. So.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing with
right?
characters. when you're like deep into stuff, it's like you want to share it,
yeah.
But then you're like, we gotta be quiet till it's like done or it happens,
Yep.
and then you can be like, okay. Yeah. So I have 4 characters, and my first character was Jordan, but in funny clothing, like Jimmy said. And I was a follower of the Sept, specifically the Knight, and so I was, I wore chainmail, and I had 2 like martial or non-martial swords.
Yep.
So they're like up to 36 inches now. That's the hardest thing when like you've been here so long, is remembering the current rules,
Right.
and how they've changed
Not
and the
Marshall's
names
30
for
or
it.
under. I got you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. And so Nai, he was goody two shoes. He would always save people. Would always go in. He wouldn't think about himself. Always poor. And would always be up for a challenge. And then decided to retire him. I was just tired of playing him. Wanted to try something different. We were playing him for a while, and the group was getting a little stale. We had a couple of people who weren't coming, or some people that were breaking off, and it's like, oh, this is a good time to end it on this note. And then brought in the evil character with the slate stones, and I came in as I'm pretty sure I was from Villanova.
Yep.
And I was a mute. I took an oath of silence. And so I came in for the first like 5 months to scope out, because everyone else was retiring their PCs and gonna bring in new PCs and wanted to like figure that out and wanted to have a strong group. And so I was just there as this mute in a robe. I still have this robe. It's gray. It was black, but the trim is still gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it's very gray. And I fought single sword because I always try and like fight something different, and it was fun. And we were like the mafia. We wanted to be the mafia. We wanted to like have deals and be able to like move things and that kind of thing. And then when we came into town, we were wearing all black, and the whole town like marched on us. They're like, they're evil. We're gonna attack them. So 18 PCs came to attack us. And I'm never gonna forget this. My father, he was visiting. It was his first time.
That's right.
My dad wanted to see what I've been doing, and everyone was attacking, and we were all swinging for 4. So he's like, "Oh, that's what everyone does," and 4 is the hardest thing you could swing for. So he starts swinging for 4, and he's like, "Someone's attacking my son." So then he starts attacking him back. And then the guy backs up and he hits into an old rusty car that was there. It dents his segmentata.
Oh wow.
And everyone was okay. No one was really hurt. And my father cooled down a little bit, and he still had a fun time.
Good.
And yeah, we had like secret hiding spots. We had like a code. If someone attacked us, we'd say location 1, and then we'd all break off, and then we'd go to location 1.
Cool.
Or when we were running from the people attacking us, another time, of course, we were going, and then my uncle Steve, he just disappears, and we were just like, where in the world did he go? There was a house that was leveled, but the basement wasn't filled in.
Oh no.
And so he just fell, but luckily he had javelins on his back.
Yeah.
And he dropped right in, and we're like, oh my gosh, you could have like really been hurt.
It was a scary moment. He just disappeared. He was there, and then he wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so strange. Yeah. And then and so as Jimmy said, we were forced to retire, so we had one last event, and the people running the game at the time were saying, hey, you guys are doing really good at what you're doing, but we want to make sure everyone's having fun. And as soon as we realized people weren't having fun, and we didn't realize that certain people weren't like coming or doing different shifts, and we're like, we love real people more than our
fake
fantasy game and
Yeah.
fake game. And so they're like, you can kill everybody or you can retire. You have 1 month to do it. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna retire. And I'm walking back at the end of the shift to one of the cabins at Feb Feast. It was in winter. And I'm walking, and this guy, Dren, was walking, and we're like going, and we're on a truce. Everyone's on a truce. So we're walking to the same path, and it's just me and him. And then he kills me, and I'm like, oh man. So then I drop, he starts dragging me in the cabin, and I'm going dead weight. And I mean, I'm a bigger guy. I'm going dead weight. My belt's catching on the ledge. And then he's like telling his group, he's telling like Octavius and other people, he's like, help me bring him in. They're like, we're having nothing to do with this. We had a truce. Why did you do this? You're ruining everything for everyone. So then he gets me over there, and then he final rests me. And this used to be a level 1 skill where you say 8 words and your character's dead.
Yep.
Forever.
And they're and spoiler alert, they changed it right after I died.
Yep.
But then my group found me. They set me up on the table and they gave me like this Viking burning of the whole building down with all the loot in it and everything. Sorry, I'll digress. I get really excited. But that's how Durham died. Then I made Micah. Micah was a neutral character. He was with some Septli people who were all about killing undead, and they're like hunting like the hardest undead to hunt. You know, everyone needs like that special kind of story to be the hero. And so I was pretty neutral. I was leaning towards good, and I was doing some gem merchanting because all things that are magical have gems, and so I want to like find those and explore those and learn about those. And then they stopped coming, and then I met some people in the woods who took me to some things and showed me some other things, and I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing? And they look at me, and they look, and then we just keep walking. And then Micah has changed over the years. But then my 4th character I made when my aunt was pregnant, and they're the ones who got me into the game, and I'm like, I want to have fun with people. I want to make sure everyone's enjoying it, and I wanted to try something different. So I was a druid who didn't fight anybody at all. And so one time the PCs love to mess with me because they're like, why aren't you attacking anything? You have to attack something. I'm like, no, I'm not going to attack anything. You don't need to kill anything. So they sent a bog lurker into the inn after me. And they're all in their sanctuary bubble. And then 1 minute later, they see me dragging the bog lurker out over my shoulder. I'm dragging him out and throw him in the woods. Compulsion is a really good skill that's not used a lot, and I don't know if it still works that way with nature creatures, but it did back then, and it was a great story. But that's Birch, and he's shelved still, and maybe when I have children, I might bring him back.